Hi everyone, my name is Erin. Welcome back to my channel. I heard Natalie of A Curious Reader talk about following the path of her reading, and she said this in a video probably about a month ago at this point. I don't know, time is a thing that is happening to me. I'll leave it linked down below, but I've been thinking about it a lot, and lately I've really started to notice a path of my own, and I thought I would share it with you. I'm currently reading 2 books, and then I have sort of paths that I could go on, and I'm really excited. So this all started with this book, Empire of the Beetle, by Andrew Nikiforuk. So this is a Canadian nonfiction book about the bark beetle, as well as a couple of other different kinds of beetles, and how in the 80s and 90s there was this sort of explosion of this beetle population that kills trees. Normally they kill the old or the already weak trees, but as the foresting industry grew, climate was different, which resulted in the beetles being able to multiply quicker, which meant that the old and the sick trees were not enough to sustain them, so they started eating and destroying healthy trees, and this was devastating, and sort of the impacts of that meant that the next season there was an even bigger explosion of these beetles, and so an even bigger disaster when it came to the life of the trees in these forests. And so this is just so engaging, so incredible. It's such a well-told, like, natural history. It's very accessible and very it has like a narrative sort of plot almost. You start kind of in the 70s and we work our way forward, and we learn about these beetles and other types of beetles. There's interviews with people who sort of saw these hordes of just black clouds of these beetles, people who saw the trees on their property go red and die, and the devastating impacts of that in Alaska, in British Columbia, Alberta, and down the coast. So this is a book that I just picked up on a whim at the library. I'm thrilled. I've read 3 chapters. It's so incredible. I'm learning a lot. I'm very grossed out and also fascinated. I'm not an insect person. I love the idea of gardening, but the fact that there are worms and spiders and ants and bugs in the dirt that I'm digging and cultivating freak me out. So this is not, it's pleasant to read despite that, and I'm so fascinated. And as I was reading that about sort of the devastation that an insect can have on an ecosystem, and how the effects of that devastation allow them to flourish, and it just sort of makes a worse situation as the years progress. I wanted to also finally pick up a book that's been quite popular on BookTube lately, and that's Braiding, Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So I just started this. I'm not very far. I think I'm about 20 pages into this. And this is Robin Wall Kimmerer's nonfiction book about indigenous teachings of plant life and the sacred value of these plants. And she is a botanist, and so she's been trained to ask questions of nature with the tools of science, is what it says on the back. And so she uses plants and nature as a teaching tool, because, as she says in the opening pages of this book, That is how Indigenous people view nature, as teachers. And so this so far has been a book about connection to the land and how white settlers really came in without any of that love for the land and just took and took and took, and what that looks like. And so this is a pretty big book. I'm sure it is so dense and deep and incredible, and I can't wait to finish it. But I've been thinking about where I want to go next because I'm loving these two so much. And so I love reading about trees, but I find that fiction and non-fiction, I kind of have to find the right books. So if I hadn't read Greenwood by Michael Christie, I would probably go there. It's an incredible fictional story that sort of like the rings of a tree, you get half of the story of a person and then their relation one generation back, their relation one generation back, and then you get the full story in the middle, and then you go back out and you view the remainder of the story. You get to witness that, and it is about sort of a world where the big wonderful trees in Vancouver are the last of the trees, and so they have been created and capitalized upon in terms of a tourist destination. So people who live in very dusty, drought-ridden areas, rich people can pay to go see the trees and breathe in good air. Oh, such a good book. But because I've read that one, I have the Overstory by Richard Powers on my shelves. I read 150 pages of this when I first purchased it in 2018, I think, and I haven't picked it up since, but the beginning pages of this story live in my brain rent-free, and I would love to continue on. I know a lot of people have trouble with the second half of the book, but this is a book about trees. And so the first section, the section that I've already read, is kind of short stories all revolving around characters and their interactions with trees. And then I think the second half is how all of it ties together. And so I'm really eager to get back into this, even though it's a huge, huge book. From there, I've been thinking a lot about I did a bit of Googling because in The Empire of the Beetle, they're talking a lot about what other species these beetles carry. They're literally the size of a grain of rice, but they have a multitude of mites, fungi, bacteria on them that they bring. And so I was thinking, like, okay, we're getting microscopic here. But I found a book, I think it's a new release. The library holds list is incredibly long, which makes me very sad, but it's called Entangled Life, How Fungi Make Our Worlds, Change Our Minds, and Shape Our Futures by Merlin Sheldrake. I don't really know a whole lot more about it than what it says in the subtitle, and I was reading an article about sort of books to read if you've read Braiding Sweetgrass, so it seems like a perfect fit. And then if I want to read a bit more about trees, The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter Wohlleben, subtitle How They Feel, How They Communicate, and Discoveries from a Secret World, is an option that I didn't know about before. That is my very weird follow the path. The path kind of goes in multiple directions, but those are kind of the books that are on my radar right now, and where I hope to go in the near future. I don't know if this will all be in one go, but definitely books that I want to kind of pace myself through. Let me know if you've ever done anything like this. Go check out Natalie's video, because it's incredible. And I will talk to you soon in another video. Thank you for watching. I hope this isn't too much of a mess of a video. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are staying happy, healthy, and safe. And I will see you soon with another video. Bye.